We're going to talk about the Boston Celtics taking
Oh,
care of business against the Brooklyn Nets. Boston took the series last night, game 4, winning 116 to 112. Jason Tatum had 29 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. Jaylen Brown, 22 points, 8 rebounds. And Marcus Smart also got above 20 points with 20 points, 11 assists, and 5 rebounds. On the other side for the Brooklyn Nets, Kevin Durant, points-wise, had a really good night with 39 points. However, his efficiency levels have continued to stay down, shooting 13 for 31. Had those 39 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds. Kyrie didn't have the best of days, only shot a total of 13 shots, finishing 20 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. They also got a little bit of help from Seth Curry, which dropped 23 points. However, with that sweep, with the series over, with the dominance we saw from Boston, I think it is fair to say that the Brooklyn Nets experiment has failed. Would you agree?
I agree. And I say it failed a long time ago. It's too many trips to the playoffs, too many first-round exits. I also want to point out the fact that this is unrelated, but the Celtics, I do want to give them credit. This wasn't by chance. They didn't get lucky. They played good defense, especially on Kevin Durant. Actually, in the first 3 games, they held him to 19 of 52 from the field. And he had 17 turnovers. 17. And a lot of them were being lazy passes on his part. I'm sure we all have seen the highlight over and over where he posts up and then tries to kick it out to Kyrie real fast. It's a lazy pass. They go down court, easy layup. It was good defense. So I can't take it away from the Celtics. It was real good defense as a whole on their part. But you gotta look back to Kyrie. You can't help but put some blame on him for he just neglected the team. You didn't want to get vaccinated. Everybody got vaccinated because they believed it was a championship team. He wasn't on board, and that's why they struggled, because the chemistry wasn't there in the playoffs, which is where it needs to be at its best. So I'm disappointed. And I thought they would at least made it a good series or something, gave us 1 game.
I know.
They got swept.
They got
swept.
2 weeks ago, we were talking about, how back and forth the series would be. We saw what was a great game 1 that first Sunday, a week and a half ago.
It made me think it was going to be a good series.
I thought it was going to be 7. And I sat right here in this chair and said, the Celtics played absolutely perfect, and they had to win on a buzzer-beating layup by Jason Tatum.
That's when I thought it was going to be a good one. They said, they're going to strike back strong game.
We all thought it was going to be a great series, but ultimately the Nets let us down. They didn't live up to their part of the great series.
They did.
The Celtics played defense. The Celtics were everything that the Nets weren't. They had good coaching. They played fundamentals. They played defense. And that's something that I really want to focus with the Brooklyn Nets. You don't have any of that. You have Steve Nash, who is really just gift wrapped at this job, had no other experience. Before this, he was actually a soccer commentator for TNT for the Champions League. So he had no coaching experience going into this. It was really just, find a former player, give him the job. Maybe it'll work.
Get a Hall of Famer. I think he knows what he's doing.
Exactly. And point guards, we've seen quite a few former point guards end up becoming coaches. Exactly. So we've seen it work before. However, there was no clear plays drawn. There was no defense. And the coach didn't have the power necessary to really drive a team. If you look at all the great teams throughout sports history, really, look at Popovich, look at Bill Belichick, look at Coach K. They were the catalysts for their teams to have such success because they had the power. They knew how to run everything. And that's something the Nets don't have. Conversely, with the Celtics have the defense. They have the young players that have bought into this, and they have a first-year coach themselves with Ime Udoka, who has been empowered by the Celtics. Brad Stevens, they realized everything wasn't working out. They moved him up into management, and they bring in this former player like Steve Nash. Right. However, he had some coaching experience being an assistant coach for the team for a while. He knows the players, he knows the team, he knows the culture, and he was empowered by the team to run the team. And that has produced them sweeping the Nets in the series. And you got to give a lot of credit to the Celtics and how they've taken care of business in the offseason, where you look at the Nets and you really have to wonder now, where do they go?
And if you think of, let's go back to the beginning of the season before it even started. Or was it somewhere towards the beginning? Kyrie said, we don't even need a coach. You going that, if I'm Steve Nash, I'm like, I'm about to coach a team that doesn't They think they're good enough that they don't need me.
Yeah, they don't
need a coach. You do. And obviously this is what happens when you think you don't need a coach. You get swept in the first round by a well-coached, well put together, a high chemistry Celtics team. And that's what happened.
And the Nets, to me, they play it like it's 2K.
No,
I mean, they play like you hand any 16-year-old kid a controller and you hand them the game, and that's how they play.
Let me get Kyrie the ball.
Run back and forth, no plays, give it to your stars, and
hit a clutch bucket.
Hopefully they'll get a bucket offense, which is really disrespectful to the game of basketball in everything that we've seen throughout the history of basketball. I mean, of course, we all know, like, back in the 60s, it was nowhere near as entertaining as it was today, but they had to harp on team basketball. Michael Jordan and the Bulls were so successful because they had that star in Michael Jordan, but he was so team oriented. He would force the best out of his teammates to play their role, not just get a bucket, and they became the dynasty that they were.
Exactly. Everybody had a job on that team. You didn't expect a 15-point game from Dennis Rodman. You want 27 boards, right? And that's what he would give you. Because they had him for that. The Nets had Kyrie run my offense, get me some good points, get flashy. They got KD killer, attack mode on offense. And if it's not working, you'll find yourself in a position where the Brooklyn Nets did, where the offense isn't flowing and you're wondering why you've gone down 0-2, 0-3, and then eventually get swept.
And someone that has gotten a little bit forgotten, his name kind of resurrected because there was possibility he was going to play, is Ben Simmons. And Ben Simmons himself is very, I think, representative of what the failure of the Brooklyn Nets has been. I don't mean to be a grandpa, but if you look at him on the bench, you got the Nets all in black in their uniforms and their jumpsuits, and he's out there wearing blue, orange,
he
green.
Looked like a pack of highlighters on that bench.
It's very representative of both the Nets and himself.
Foolish.
They're foolish. They're individualistic. He can't get himself off the bench to fight for his team that are about to face elimination and did eventually face elimination. And Shaq pointed out that this is something we've seen from Ben Simmons his entire career. With LSU, he quit on them. He quit on them after getting hurt. He could have came back. However, said, nope, I'm going to be the first overall pick. Let me not come back. 76ers refused to show up like he did and really became the clown of Philadelphia.
He didn't progress. He stayed the same game for all those years he spent in Philly. We probably would have seen the same game if he decided to get up off the bench and get into game 4 or game 3 like he could have. It's the playoffs. Everybody's a little hurt. Embiid has a torn ligament in his thumb right now. And where is he getting ready? What is he getting ready to do? Play in the next game? He wasn't there. Ben Simmons has had more camera time than playtime in this series. He's had more camera time than playtime. And that's not somebody you need on your team.
I mean, we saw when he was at practice and he told the reporter, hey, look at this.
For a dunk.
He did a dunk.
Did you get that? No.
He did a 3.
We got it, but can you shoot yet?
He didn't realize he's shooting with the wrong hand. That's something that I firmly believe. I think he is a righty. If you look at his number, if you look at him finishing at the basket, he shoots, last time I saw it was like 60% of his layups or finishes at the rim with his right hand, 20% with his left, 20% two-handed.
But he shoots left-handed. See, that's something that if you cared about him and if you're a coach of him, that you need to see some type of progression or at least encourage some type of progression. If you're a teammate, I'm like, hey, man, let's get your shot together this summer. Let's get some shots up. Let's work on it.
Just show you care.
Because we could see it this season. We could see it this offseason. We could.
Well, with the money he's making,
20? What do you get? 20?
He's making nearly $38 million a year over the next 3 years, and the Brooklyn Nets are really kind of screwed. He's signed through 2025, making that large contract. You have Kyrie Irving, who has if the team and him choose for him to move on. However, I believe neither are going to do that. You'll likely have to pay him $50 million. KD is making about $48 million a year until 2026. That's well worth it. But if I'm KD, I'm looking at the situation. Why does KD want to stay? What stops KD from requesting a trade in this offseason?
I don't see what does. Nothing. If I'm KD, I want to get up out of there. I got 2 unmotivated individuals on my team who obviously only care about themselves and the betterment of themselves, or should I say whatever makes them comfortable in regards to Kyrie not getting the vaccine. You got to make a business decision. You got to get up out of Brooklyn. If I'm KD, I'm getting out because I can't do that. And if anything, this showed we got a glimpse of what KD would be like if he had to be in LeBron's shoes. Now he knows what it feels like. He really feels it now.
But he didn't get the media pressure that I kind of expected.
He wouldn't, because he's not who?
He's not LeBron.
Exactly.
If LeBron had got swept,
LeBron,
if LeBron got swept like this, I mean, he got swept in the finals against the Warriors and
that's the
still
Warriors.
got a lot of
That's
crap,
Warriors,
averaging what 30-something, 36 points, nearly a triple double again.
Who was on his team that year? We got Darren Williams. He was what 40,000 years old.
You got JR.
Darren Williams, JR giving you 0 points, 30 minutes. K Love 3 points, 30 minutes. That was bad.
LeBron's been scrutinized for pretty much every move he's made in his entire career. And KD was heavily scrutinized for his moves to the Warriors. And you guys know, watching at home, I love the move. Rest of America hated it. Trust me, I understand. But clearly Kevin Durant made the wrong decision here. You left 3 future Hall of Famers, for one current. Is Steve Kerr in the Hall of Fame? Probably not.
For coaching?
Probably not he's not for basketball.
I think he has 2 Hall of Fame careers.
I
think so.
With the entirety of what he's done, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Right. For at least one of the 2 things.
I think you can combine both and say, you know what? He's affected the league in such a way he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
You have the structure there. The front office is great. I don't remember their names off the top of my head, the ownership, the general manager group, but they've done a great job to build this team back up without Kevin Durant. You find a gem with Jordan Poole in the draft. They haven't necessarily taken over like we've seen them on their other teams, but Andrew Wiggins became an all-star for the first time in his career. You have Otto Porter that can hit shots if need be. You have Kuminga coming off the bench. So you have this young talent. And maybe you could say that this wouldn't have happened if Kevin Durant was still there eating up the money.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been the same team.
It would certainly not be the same team, but just from a Kevin Durant standpoint, you chose Kyrie Irving, who before the vaccination, before anything, was a head case, was known to be very, for one, opinionated, and was known to be Kyrie first. And something we pointed out last week was he said he embraces how the fans talk and they chirp and whatnot. But then when they actually start chirping at him, he gets offended.
Sticking the bird behind your head and you're getting fined. Not looking good.
Not looking good at all. The two of them are both pretty fragile skins. Like they both.
Like a reality TV show, this team. It's you just never know what's happening.
Ben Simmons. I mean, who did he date? Which of the
it's one of those.
Which Kardashian or Jenner did he date?
He did something he wasn't supposed to do.
And this team is just such an ego, such a high feeling of themselves that they haven't been able to realize they're missing the fundamentals that are necessary to win basketball games. So if I'm KD, I'm looking maybe Miami.
I was saying the same thing.
I had this conversation.
I said Miami.
Yeah, I had this conversation with a few of my friends the other day. I'm like, look, and that's something I'll talk about when we talk about the Heat later, is Miami lacks that scoring presence. Jimmy Butler's been dominating like he has. Yeah. But come on, KD's one of the best scorers, if not the best scorer in NBA history. So if I'm KD, I'm looking out. I'm saying
definitely the best scorer right now, I believe.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Right now.
So he's looking like, hey, can I get out of here? And then if I'm the Nets, you're stuck with Ben Simmons, who's taking him and his contract and his worth ethic and all the noise that comes around him. Kyrie Irving, you probably resign him for a lot of money. But if you're the Nets, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how you can fix this really bad situation that they've put themselves in.